All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope you all having a good day so far. Had a request, and oddly enough, I already had this video on my list, like this literal exact video on my list of stuff to react to soon. And this is how good was Jason Kidd actually. It's a video by Nonstop, and as you know, like this will give you a good broad overview of the player of Jason Kidd and his entire career from beginning to end. Let me double check that, because what year? 3 days? Oh yeah, absolutely. It'll cover his entire career, so that's cool. But yeah, Jason Kidd is another one of those players. He's underappreciated, and you know, we've checked out some Dr. J recently, David Robinson, Tim Duncan, and now, you know, Jason Kidd, because there's a lot of players that I feel because of the GOAT debate and everything that entails of it, it seems like we only pay attention to 1 and 2, and we forget about so many great basketball players, and that's what we're here for. Let's appreciate the love of the game here. So as always, I'm going to link the original video down below in the description if you want to check out the channel without me, and check out this video without me. Highly suggest it. It's good, solid basketball content at Nonstop. And yeah, everybody else, please leave this video a like, and let's just get right into it, okay?
Jason Kidd has over 12,000 career assists, more than anyone in NBA history, not named John Stockton. And with 9 all-defensive selections, Kidd's one of the best defensive guards ever. Wherever he played, Jason immediately brought a winning culture and championship aspirations. However, Kidd only averaged over 17 points per game once in his career, and they used to call him Asen because he had no J. So, how good was Jason Kidd, actually? Kidd was born in 19...
Yeah, he always did struggle shooting. My dog is freaking out at something. You okay? All right. I think she heard a car horn. Here we go.
73 in San Francisco, but he was raised in Oakland, home of many past and current NBA players. However, Jason's first sport wasn't basketball, it was soccer. But then, in the 2nd grade, Jason started playing basketball and soon realized he was a natural hooper. After that, there were only 2 places you could find Jason. If he wasn't in school, he was on a basketball court somewhere. When he got to 8th grade, Jason was such a good player that he became a minor celebrity in Oakland because everybody was gathering at the playgrounds to watch him hoop. As a high school freshman, one college coach approached Kidd, asking if he was a senior and if he had already signed a letter of intent. Because Jason had a large frame and had nearly already reached his adult height of 6'4". He was also usually the most athletic player on every court, so it was easy to mistake him for a senior. However, one Oakland native wasn't that impressed with a young Jason Kidd and wanted to teach him a lesson. Gary Payton was from the same Oakland neighborhood as Kidd, but he was 5 years older. And even though Gary wasn't much bigger than Kidd, he was much tougher and more experienced. Payton challenged Kidd to a one-on-one game and didn't let Jason score a single bucket. On top of beating him, Gary destroyed him with trash talk. Jason grew up just playing on the basketball courts, but he didn't know nothing about going to playgrounds, where a lot of guys are going to trash talk to him, challenge his manhood, and things like that. And after such a demoralizing beatdown, Kidd wanted to quit basketball.
Damn!
Oh, there were tears. My parents would ask me what's wrong. I would be like, I think I should pick a different sport because I'm not very good at it. He wouldn't let me score after he told me that he wouldn't let me score.
Dude, that's the beauty of the mental aspect of basketball and trash talking. So good. Jason Kidd learned a good lesson. Gary Payton really helped him out, because if not, he would have eventually run into some dude who just belittled him and trashed, you know, like a Kevin Garnett, you know, who just like made him cry. And he probably would have stayed down at that point, but he learned young enough that, okay, all right, this is a whole another part of the game. It's not just about being a good basketball player. You got to be able to either talk trash or be a Tim Duncan, where you don't say a damn word except for like, good try, you know, good attempt. Or who else did that? Hakeem Olajuwon also did that, you know. But you got to be really thick-skinned to be able to listen to that amount of trash talk and not respond whatsoever.
However, Jason's love for basketball was too strong, and he wanted to get better. Payton soon became his mentor, and the 2 Oakland point guards developed a special bond, and Gary's lessons proved to fuel Kidd's success. Jason led St. Joseph High School to a 122-14 record and 2 consecutive state championships. As a senior, he won the Naismith Award as the nation's top high school player, after averaging 25 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds, and 7 steals per game.
7 steals per game. Yeah, he was always good at getting steals, man. 25, 10, 7 rebounds, and 7 steals is disgusting.
During his high school years, Kidd became LeBron James a decade before LeBron James, with a feature in Sports Illustrated as one of the nation's most highly recruited players. Kidd's popularity forced his school to often move their games to the Oracle Arena to accommodate crowds of over 10,000 people who wanted to see Jason in action.
It's crazy. Yeah, me and my brother, like, we had Jason Kidd on our radar from a young age. We knew he was going to be great. If anything, we were disappointed in the NBA after, you know, I mean, I don't want to say we were disappointed, but we had man, we thought he was the next Magic Johnson. I'm just going to say it. So, I'm glad he got that one championship, solid career. But man, what we saw him doing, like with those kind of numbers and that kind of play when he was young, we thought like this guy might be the greatest point guard of all time. And he came damn close though.
Just like LeBron, Kidd was one of the few high school players to play before a nationally televised audience. But despite being wanted by all the major universities, Kidd chose to attend the nearby University of California, Berkeley, a school that was coming off a 10-18 season and had not won a conference title since 1960. But Kidd's arrival immediately turned things around for the Bears. Jason averaged 13 points, 8 assists, and nearly 4 steals per game.
It's crazy. If I had the money when I was 18, which I didn't have the money, I wanted to go to Berkeley for their music program because their music program is like top notch for the USA. Didn't happen, but it was either that or if I could have got in with basketball too, that would have been cool. But by the time college hit, I was more. I didn't go to college because of this. I couldn't afford it, but. By college time, when everyone was going to college, like I was more into music than I was into basketball as far as playing wise. So I was really looking at Berkeley School of Music at that time. So that's cool. I actually forgot Jason Kidd went there. Anybody know a guy named Steve Vai? Yeah, if you do, that's the guitarist who got me very curious about Berkeley,
which secured him the National Freshman of the Year award. He led California to a 21-9 record and a berth to the NCAA tournament, which was only the second time in 30 years Cal qualified for March Madness.
Wow.
Maybe the Cal game. How good is Jason Kidd?
The Bears won their first 2 games of the tournament thanks to Kidd's 2 game-winning shots against LSU and Duke, eventually losing to Kansas in the Sweet 16. As a sophomore, Jason improved his averages to 16 points, 9 assists, and 3 steals per game, leading Cal back to the NCAA tournament. He became the first sophomore in the history of the Pac-10 to be named Conference Player of the Year, breaking Kevin Johnson's school records for assists and steals,
wow.
A feat Kidd accomplished in just 2 seasons, compared to Johnson's 4. After dominating for 2 years, it made no sense for Kidd to continue his college career, and he declared for the 1994 NBA Draft.
With the second pick, the Dallas Mavericks select Jason Kidd.
And just like he did in college, Jason's arrival immediately resulted in more wins for the Mavs.
Absolutely.
After winning just 11 games in 1993 and 13 games in 94, with Kidd on board, the Mavs won
him and Jim Jackson.
36 games in 95, narrowly missing out on the playoffs. Kidd averaged 12 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals per game, securing him the Rookie of the Year award, which he shared with Grant Hill.
Yeah, that was cool. Co-Rookie of the Year. Something I think they should do more often. For instance, I think Carmelo Anthony and LeBron James should have shared Rookie of the Year, and then I think there should be like a Finals MVP. I might be crazy on that, but I've seen certain finals like the one we just witnessed where it would have been a good opportunity for a co-MVP. 2020 would have also been a good opportunity for a co-MVP, LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I don't know. I would have never thought of it this way, but I grew up with this, a co-Rookie of the Year. So I thought, like, okay, if it's a close enough race, they'll just do it. I do always wonder, though, did only one of them get the trophy, or did they both get the trophy?
Only time in history the NBA had co-Rookies of the Year.
Oh, they both got one.
Because his impact on the horror.
My bad.
Hill, the only time in history.
Right there, they both got one. So, yeah, I think they should do that every so often.
NBA had co-rookies of the year. And because his impact on the horrible Mavs team was so evident, Kidd even received votes for MVP. As a sophomore, Kidd improved his averages to 16 points, 10 assists, and over 2 steals per game, which secured him his first All-Star selection. However, despite Kidd establishing himself as one of the premier point guards in the NBA, the Mavs regressed, winning just 24 games in 1996. It was mainly because the Mavericks were a young team, led by the 3 J's, Jamal Mashburn, Jim Jackson, and Jason Kidd.
Yep. They had Mashburn too. The Triple J's.
Young guys wanting to go out and party rather than watch game film. But a lot of it came down to Kidd, who wasn't yet accustomed to the NBA game. His biggest problem was that he wasn't a good shooter, for which he earned the nickname Ace-in Kidd, since there was no J in his game. However, another big issue for Kidd was that he played too fast. Looking back, my mistake was that I only had one gear, the fastest gear. Coming into the league, I knew I had 2 strengths. I could post guys up, and I was fast. Why would I want to take away one of my advantages? As a young player, you think you can take them all. 3 guys in front of me, I can take them all. Fast break after fast break, I would beat my own guys down the court. My teammates would always be behind me trying to catch up.
Yeah, and he would do that with the ball too, while dribbling the ball. I mean, like, yeah, he's right. He was fast as hell. But yeah, he definitely should have worked on a jumper. That's one thing that Stockton always had over him. Stockton's jumper was just like ice, man. Like, yeah, it's just if he got a decent jumper off, like that swish sound, I don't know. It's ringing in my head right now, like every single time.
Third season, Kidd learned to slow down and let the play develop. Just like that, it opened up passing lanes and his options multiplied. He wasn't forcing up shots anymore, and as a result, Kidd's shooting percentages started to improve, and he finally got over 40% from the field and a respectable 37% from 3, which was a big improvement from his first 2 seasons. But due to locker room disagreements, which famously involved the singer Toni Braxton, the Mavericks decided to trade Kidd to Phoenix at the midpoint of the 1997 season.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was there was some problems with I guess Toni Braxton between Jason Kidd and Jim Jackson, if I remember correctly. Some things happened in the fun world, the outside world, that definitely destroyed the chemistry between the two of them. They hated each other basically.
Mentally,
it was personal stuff.
I feel great, and I think that's what I'm gonna walk away with this trade, is that mentally I am a new person. There was so much mentally going on in Dallas that I just wasn't playing the same.
And
this is when we enter an era of Phoenix Suns basketball where we have 3 elite point guards. So we had Jason Kidd, we still had Kevin Johnson, and then we also have Steve Nash. Like a young Steve Nash.
His departure from the Mavs, they wouldn't make the playoffs again until 2001, but the Suns were revitalized by his arrival, making the playoffs in each of his 5 seasons with the franchise. During this time, Kidd further established himself as an elite defender, making 3 all-defensive teams, as well as leading the league in assists 3 times in a row from 1999 to 2001. However, despite making the playoffs in each season, the Suns only won 1 playoff series in 2000, after which they quickly lost to the Lakers.
It's also the bleach blonde era of Jason Kidd when he was in Phoenix. I don't know what sparked him to do that here, but I always remember that era. Look at younger Zoe.
Summer of 2000, Jason joined Team USA for the Sydney Olympics, helping the Stars and Stripes win a gold medal and leading the team in assists and steals. But after a tumultuous 2001 NBA season that was marked by charges of domestic abuse by Kidd's wife, the Suns decided to part ways with their star point guard.
Yeah, this was hard. As a Suns fan, this was rough for all of us, and I was still young at the time. There's a lot of resentment that as kids felt for Jason Kidd at the time. Obviously, we were young, so we were judging, and we didn't really understand what was happening. All we knew was he, from what we understood, was he beat up his wife, and now he's off the Suns. Like, that's great, that sucks for everybody. And that's what went down. I'll never really know like the true story, like the real story, what the hell happened between the two. But let's see. I wonder if they stayed together. I didn't follow up very much after this I just know what the media said, basically.
Charges of domestic abuse by Kidd's wife, the Suns decided to part ways with their star point guard. In the 2001 offseason, Jason went to the New Jersey Nets for Stephon Marbury in what was considered a win-win trade because Marbury was an all-star who averaged 24 points per game. However, some people, like Kobe Bryant, were convinced that the Suns made a big mistake. What in the world is Phoenix doing? Shortly after joining the Nets, Jason made a bold prediction. New Jersey, winners of just 26 games in 2001, would win at least 40 games. And his promise was proven correct, and then some. The Nets won.
And sadly, it's not like we had Steve Nash anymore, you know. So it's not like we got rid of Jason Kidd and it was like, okay, put in Nash now. It's time for him to play. No, he was a Maverick by this point.
52 games in the 2002 regular season, their best result ever since moving to Jersey, and their winningest season since the 70s and the Julius Erving era. They had the best record in the Eastern Conference behind 15 points and 10 assists per game from Kidd, who finished second in the MVP voting behind Tim Duncan. But even more importantly, the Nets were winning when it mattered most, in the playoffs.
Yes.
As an NBA franchise, the Nets won only one playoff series before Kidd's arrival, dating back to 1984. And in the 2002 season, they first defeated the Pacers, then the Hornets, and in the Eastern Conference Finals, they faced the Celtics with prime Paul Pierce and Antoine Walker. And despite having an inexperienced team behind Kidd, with the rookie Richard Jefferson and sophomore Kenyon Martin, New Jersey defeated the Celtics in 6 games.
Yeah, this was the original Lob City.
New Jersey Nets are in the NBA Finals.
In a series where Kidd averaged a triple-double with 17 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists per game. However, in the finals, they faced prime Kobe and Shaq, who were simply too much to handle for anybody on the Nets team. O'Neal averaged 36 and 12 in the series, and one of the most iconic photos in NBA history was made during the finals, when all the Nets players unsuccessfully tried to...
Holy crap. Yeah. And I'm sure when he landed, everyone just dissipated like an explosion, because that's just what Prime Shaq did. This was the era. It was because of the Nets that the whole basketball world realized how bad the East is during this time, and it didn't really change. Like it took at least like 10 years until that really changed. Yeah. It really did. So the New Jersey Nets were like, I mean, they were fantastic in the East. But when it came down to the finals, they just didn't have a shot in hell against the West. And it was completely lopsided for many, many years to come.
To contain Shaq's dunk. But this experience proved invaluable to the young Nets, who returned to the finals a year later, losing just 2 games in 3 series to win the Eastern Conference.
So they're blowing past the East until they meet a team on the West. Let's say the same thing about like Philly. Who else went through the same thing? I mean, Detroit's the only team to break it, and they actually won a championship. But yeah, we had Philly, we had New Jersey multiple times. Pacers, I believe, was in there too. Like, just nobody on the East could compete against the West whatsoever.
After 4 games, the finals were tied between the Nets and the San Antonio Spurs. But then, another all-time great decided to turn it up a gear. In Game 5, Tim Duncan finished with 29 points and 17 rebounds to secure the win.
That'll do it.
And in Game 6, he was even better, with 21 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists,
Good Lord.
an astonishing 8 blocks to win the game and the championship for the Spurs. Kidd averaged 26 and 7 in the series, but the Nets had little offensive firepower and a lack of shooting to feed off his passing, and it wasn't a surprise that they lost to a much deeper, more balanced Spurs team. In the next 4 seasons, the Nets made the playoffs each year, but they never made it further than the second round. Then, in the middle of the 2008 season, Jason Kidd was 34 years old, and he realized that he couldn't win a title with the Nets. So he asked for a trade.
The man who brought a basketball renaissance to New Jersey will likely be wearing different colors after the All-Star break.
The Nets traded him to Dallas, where Kidd joined Dirk Nowitzki, another legend in search of his first championship.
Yep.
When he got to Dallas, Kidd realized that he'd lost a step and couldn't rely on his speed to beat opponents, who were often sagging off him when he had the ball. So, Kidd began working with a shooting coach to try to improve his three-point shot, keep defenses honest, and expand his offensive repertoire.
You see this, Ben Simmons? This is what you needed to do, man. and it led to a championship for my boy Kidd. Like, work on your shot.
His first 13 seasons in the league, Kidd shot 34% for three, which wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. But in his first half season back in Dallas, Jayson shot 46% from deep.
See what practice does.
40% of his trays the following year, and then a career-high 42% in 2010. But even though Dallas had a talented team that always won 50-plus games in the regular season, something always went wrong in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, Golden State.
So before the 2011 season, nobody believed that a 33-year-old Dirk, 34-year-old Jason Terry, and 38-year-old Jason Kidd could improve much from the previous disappointing seasons. But Dallas was different that year. The addition of Tyson Chandler bolstered their interior defense, which addressed their biggest weakness.
Get that shoe out of here!
And adding veteran sharpshooter Peja Stojakovic and giving more minutes to...
Peja was a good addition, too. It's the same with Chandler. No disrespect there. But they really needed a perimeter shooter, and Peja was the guy. It's still amazing that they beat the Big Three Miami Heat with this lineup. It's so cool.
To JJ Barea gave them a big boost off the bench.
Yep,
the Mavs
JJ
won 57 games in the regular season, and after they struggled in the first round of the playoffs against Portland, they swept the Lakers in the second round. And Kidd's defense on Kobe was a main reason for Dallas's victory in the series. An old man, Jayson, limited Bryant to just 23 points per game in the series. In the conference finals, Dallas defeated the young superstar trio of OKC, securing a trip to the NBA Finals against the heavily favored Miami Heat. And it all started according to the Vegas odds.
I wonder, was that the hardest championship ever? I know we've covered it, and I believe it was Houston that ended up with the hardest championship ever. But, man, I kind of want to see where this lines up again, because this title run by Dallas was ridiculous.
Had Miami as a 3-1 favorite. The Heat won Game 1 and had a commanding lead in Game 2 when Dirk sparked a late Dallas comeback which tied the series. Miami then won Game 3, and again it seemed like LeBron was well on his way to winning his first championship. But the Mavs weren't letting go so easily, and Jason Kidd played an instrumental role in guarding LeBron.
And JJ Barea, let's not forget about JJ.
Long stretches of the series, Dallas kept James in check by using the much smaller Kidd as his primary defender. Kidd kept digging at the ball, and LeBron was unable to attack him off the dribble. By neutralizing James, who finished with 8 points in Game 4.
Yep. And I'm not going to harp on it, but we've covered that game quite a bit. And Jason Terry, hats off to you as well, man.
17 points in Game 5, the Mavericks turned the series around. In Game 6, Kidd was a game-high plus 18, and with a late fourth-quarter scoring spree from Nowitzki, the Mavs won their first title in franchise history.
And Dirk was sick, too. Like, really sick.
Third time's a charm. It's a dream.
And while Dirk collected the majority of the praise, and deservedly so, Kidd's impact on this series was enormous. He was a series-high plus 42 across 6 games, and his defense on James and timely three-pointers gave Dallas a much-needed boost in pivotal moments. Jason Kidd's DNA is all over this thing. Coach Carlisle said after winning the title, "You don't see some of the gaudy statistics in terms of points scored or things like that, but the way he has facilitated our team on the court with his leadership ability, his knowledge of our team, the example he sets by playing with a certain level of intensity and being cool under pressure, he is one of the all-time greats."
And this is why, hold on.
Jason Kidd, this moment completely validates his career as being one of those superstars. Jason
stated, and that's why, in my opinion, you need some vets. Every team needs some veterans because you need leadership like this. And at that point, we all knew Jason Kidd, he slowed down and he wasn't going to produce nearly as much, but you needed a captain like that. I hate that I always say this, but I felt the same way about Chris Paul in Phoenix. I was not looking at his numbers. I was arguing with all of my friends. Like, stop looking at his points. We don't need him to score. We have other scorers. You know, his job is to distribute and lead. He's our captain. And that's what Jason Kidd was for Dallas. He was their captain. He was their leader. And it took a lot of pressure off of guys like Dirk. And I'm just really happy that Dirk, and Sean Marion, three of my favorite players, they actually won a championship, and they did it all together. And they did it by beating the freaking Miami Heat Big Three. and embarrassing LeBron James in like beautiful fashion. Like this Dallas team, my hat is off to you forever for pulling that off. And I've kind of been a silent Dallas fan since then. Still was last year watching Kyrie and Luka do their thing. And it's really cool that he's the coach. So now I want to see him win a championship as a coach. Like I really do.
Dallas for one more season, after which he decided to join the Knicks for one last hurrah.
I think Jason Kidd just realized it makes more sense for him at this point in his career, almost 40, to try to go with the win now team.
And even at the age of 40, Kidd had once again done what he did all his career, bringing up championship pedigree and a winning mentality to the team. In Jason's lone year with the Knicks, he helped the franchise win 50 games for the first time since the 2000 season and secure their first division title since 1994. And just like Coach Carlisle, the Knicks coach Mike Woodson echoed the same sentiment about Kidd and his play. Veteran leadership on and off the court was a huge factor for our team.
There it is, yeah, because they were a young team.
Recorded 54 victories. Jason provided an incredible voice inside our locker room, and I considered it an honor to say I coached
That's so cool.
After the 2013 season, 19 seasons and 1,549 games in the NBA, Jason Kidd finally decided to hang up his sneakers. He ended his career 6th all-time in regular season games played, 2nd all-time in assists and steals, and 3rd all-time in three-pointers made with 1,988. Only Kobe Bryant made more all-defensive teams as a guard, and because of his two-way impact, Kidd is one of the top 10 point guards of all time. Jason Kidd was basically a coach on the court, so it's no surprise that after his playing career, he's become an elite head coach, leading the Mavericks back to the finals for the first time since 2011, when he played on the team. Thanks for watching. If you like...
Good video, like really good video. Thanks for the suggestion. Glad I did it. And off the top of my head, because he played so great in so many places, well, let's say New Jersey and Dallas, did both teams, if you guys know, did both teams retire his jersey? Did either team retire his jersey? I kind of hope both did, because he played fantastic basketball for both organizations. If he would have stayed with Phoenix, I'm sure it would have happened here too, but, you know, there were other things that happened there. Anyways, though, Jason Kidd, man, I didn't know how good he was in high school. That's something different. And yeah, one of my favorite players of all time. He never gets talked about anymore. And even, it's sad. Like, I understand that like people forgot about Steve Nash because he never won a championship. But so many people seem to forget that he won it. Like, he actually did it. You know, went to the finals 3 times and won one. It's not like it's not like he's got a great finals record, but it's not like we're calling him the GOAT. We're just saying, like, that's one underappreciated basketball player. You know, he brought quality leadership and quality basketball to every city he ever played in. And he improved every team he ever played for. Every lineup that he was ever in, he made it better. And I think that's a damn good sign of a good point guard right there. Anyways, everybody, hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like to this video, and I always appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you want more content. If you do, I'll see you later tonight for the After Dark. And yeah, everybody, having a good time. I appreciate you all. I will see you later tonight, and until then, have a wonderful day. And yeah, peace out.